New York City's Upper East Side was just waking up as Elizabeth Lyon stepped out of her brownstone, the morning air a brisk 54 degrees Fahrenheit, and laced with the scent of spring rain on concrete. She paused on the stoop, her gaze drifting down the avenue, then up to the top-floor windows of Lyon Gallery, her life's work and, if she was honest, her greatest love. Elizabeth was 60. But her stride was purposeful as she crossed the avenue, her heels clicking on the sidewalk. She was tall, her silver hair swept into a chignon, and her eyes sharp blue. And always searching, missed nothing. For nearly 3 decades, she'd built Lyon Gallery into one of New York's most respected art spaces. A sanctuary of creativity and commerce where the city's elite mingled with avant-garde artists and international collectors. The gallery's reputation was impeccable. Its marble floors gleamed. Its lighting was museum perfect, and the collection, Picassos, Basquiat's, and rising stars, drew crowds from across the globe. Yet, as Elizabeth slipped through the staff entrance, she felt a growing sense of distance from the world she'd created. She remembered the early days, hauling canvases up 4 flights of stairs, pouring wine for opening nights, talking art with anyone who would listen. Now, her days were filled with board meetings, press interviews, and endless emails. She missed the pulse of the gallery floor. The whispered excitement before a new show, the quiet pride in a perfectly hung painting. It was this longing, and a nagging worry that she'd lost touch with the soul of her business, that led Elizabeth to a decision that would have shocked her staff. She was going undercover. For the next 2 weeks, she would become Liz, the new gallery assistant, reporting for work in black slacks, sensible shoes, and a crisp white shirt. Only her trusted manager, Julia, would know the truth. The plan was simple: observe, listen, and learn. Elizabeth wanted to see her gallery through fresh eyes, to understand the daily grind of her team and the real experiences of her clients. She wanted to know, did her staff feel valued? Were the artists treated with respect? Did the gallery's legendary service hold up under pressure? Most of all, she wanted to reconnect with the art, the reason she'd started all of this in the first place. Her first morning as Liz was a study in humility. She arrived 15 minutes early, nerves fluttering in her stomach. The staff room was smaller than she remembered, the coffee stale, and the bulletin board was cluttered with schedules and reminders. She introduced herself to the team: Marcus, the head installer, whose hands were always stained with paint; Priya, the young curator with a sharp eye for emerging talent; and Ben, the security guard, whose encyclopedic knowledge of art history surprised everyone who bothered to ask. Julia, playing her part perfectly, handed Liz a stack of paperwork and a set of gallery keys. "You'll be shadowing Marcus today," she said, her tone brisk but kind. "We've got an installation in the East Wing and a private tour at noon. Just follow his lead." Marcus was gruff but patient, showing Liz how to handle the priceless canvases with gloved hands, how to adjust the track lighting for maximum impact, and how to polish the glass cases without leaving a single smudge. "It's all about the details," he muttered, his Brooklyn accent thick. "People come here for the art, but they remember the feeling. That's what keeps them coming back." As the morning unfolded, Liz found herself swept into the rhythm of the gallery. She helped Priya catalog a new shipment of sculptures, learning the difference between patina and oxidation, provenance, and forgery. She watched Ben greet a group of schoolchildren, his booming voice softening as he explained the story behind a haunting abstract canvas. She even fetched coffee for a visiting artist, an eccentric Frenchman who insisted on oat milk, and spent 20 minutes rearranging the furniture in his studio. But it wasn't all glamour. Liz scrubbed scuff marks from the marble, restocked brochures, and fielded a flurry of phone calls from collectors with impossible requests. She struggled with the security codes in the storage room, fumbled through the inventory software, and nearly dropped a $50,000 vase when a client startled her with a question about its provenance. Throughout it all, Elizabeth kept her eyes and ears open. She noticed the tension in Marcus's jaw when the schedule ran late, the way Priya's enthusiasm dimmed when her ideas were brushed aside, and the fatigue in Ben's posture during the long afternoon shift. She watched clients drift through the gallery, some awestruck, others distracted, a few dismissive. She saw the pride in her staff's work but also the cracks in the foundation, the stress, the small resentments, the moments when the magic of the art was overshadowed by the pressure to perform. By the end of her first day, Elizabeth was exhausted. Her feet ached, her shirt was wrinkled, and she'd made more mistakes than she cared to admit. But as she locked up the gallery, she felt something she hadn't felt in years, a sense of purpose, of being part of something bigger than herself. Walking home through the city's golden hour, Elizabeth replayed the day's events in her mind. She thought of the laughter in the staff room, the quiet pride in Marcus's voice, the spark in Priya's eyes when she talked about her favorite artist. She realized that the gallery's actual value wasn't just in the masterpieces on the walls but in the people who brought them to life. Tomorrow, she would return as Liz, ready to dive deeper into the world she thought she knew. She was determined to listen, to learn, and, most importantly, to rediscover the heart of Lyon Gallery, one small moment at a time. Elizabeth Lyon's first week as Liz, at her own gallery, was nothing like she'd imagined. Gone were the days of greeting collectors with a practiced handshake and a glass of Bordeaux. Instead, she found herself standing in the gallery's back hallway at 7:45 a.m., clutching a spray bottle and a microfiber cloth, her heart pounding with nerves. The gallery, a sprawling 8,000 square foot space on Madison Avenue, was silent except for the distant hum of the city. The walls hung with priceless canvases glowed in the soft, early light. Liz's new uniform, black slacks, a starched white shirt, and a name tag that read, Elizabeth, felt stiff and unfamiliar. She caught her reflection in the glass of a display case and barely recognized herself. Her first assignment was to shadow Marcus, the head installer. He handed her a checklist and a pair of white gloves. "We're rehanging the Rothko in Gallery 2. Then prepping for the evening's opening. Don't touch the canvas. Ever. And don't let the ladder scrape the wall." His tone was gruff, but she could tell he was proud of his domain. Liz nodded, trying to mask her anxiety. The Rothko was worth more than her entire brownstone. As she steadied the ladder, her hands shook. Marcus noticed and grinned. "First time?" She nodded. "Don't worry. You'll get the hang of it. Just remember, art comes first, ego second." After the installation, Liz joined Priya, the young curator, for a tour of the new arrivals. Priya's eyes sparkled as she explained the provenance of a recently acquired Basquiat. "You can feel the energy in the brushwork," she said, running her fingers just above the surface. "That's what collectors pay for, the story, the touch of genius." Liz listened, fascinated by Priya's passion and encyclopedic knowledge, but also noticed the fatigue in her voice. Priya worked 12-hour days, juggling research, client meetings, and endless paperwork. The real test came at noon. Liz was tasked with guiding a group of VIP collectors through a private viewing. She rehearsed her lines in the mirror, but as soon as the guests arrived, a trio of eccentric art lovers, each with their own quirks, her nerves got the best of her. One insisted on discussing the hidden symbolism in every painting, another demanded to know the humidity levels in the gallery. The third, a wealthy heiress in a feathered hat, asked if she could borrow a Warhol for her Hamptons housewarming. Liz stumbled through her answers, sweating under the gallery lights. Marcus watched from a distance, his arms crossed, a smirk tugging at his lips. Priya shot her a sympathetic glance. When the heiress pressed for a discount, Liz nearly blurted out, "I own this place," but caught herself just in time. Instead, she smiled and promised to consult with management. The afternoon brought more challenges. Liz was assigned to inventory the new sculpture shipment, a task that required navigating the gallery's labyrinthine storage rooms. The security codes baffled her. She locked herself out twice before Ben, the security guard, rescued her with a wink. "Don't worry, rookie. Happens to the best of us." He showed her how to log each piece, explaining the importance of chain of custody for every artwork. "One mistake and the insurance guys have a field day." Later, Liz helped set up for the evening's opening, a solo show for a rising star in the contemporary scene. The artist, a moody 20-something named Felix, arrived in a whirlwind of scarves and attitude. He demanded the lighting be changed to reflect his emotional journey. Liz scrambled to adjust the track lights, nearly blinding herself in the process. Felix watched with dramatic impatience, then declared the new arrangement acceptable, but only just. As the event began, Liz manned the entry desk, checking names against the guest list. She greeted collectors, critics, and socialites, doing her best to remember faces and names. The crowd was a mix of old money and new ambition, each person eager to be seen. Liz marveled at the performance of it all. The way Priya charmed a billionaire into bidding on a sculpture, the way Marcus kept a nervous artist calm, the way Ben discreetly handled a guest who'd had one too many glasses of wine. But the most challenging part was keeping her identity secret. At one point, a long-time client recognized her voice and squinted. "You look familiar. Have we met before?" Liz laughed it off, blaming her Midwestern accent. She felt a pang of guilt. She'd built this gallery on trust, and now she was lying to the very people who made it thrive. Back in the staff room, Liz collapsed into a chair, exhausted. Her feet ached, her hands were raw, and her mind spun with the day's events. She listened as Marcus and Priya traded stories about demanding clients and last-minute disasters. There was laughter but also a sense of camaraderie, a feeling that they were all in this together. That night, as she walked the 5 blocks home, Liz replayed the day in her mind. She thought about Marcus's pride, Priya's passion, Ben's quiet competence, and the chaos of the opening. She realized that running a gallery wasn't just about art, it was about people. About balancing egos, managing crises, and making sure everyone felt seen. Lying in bed, Liz stared at the ceiling, her mind racing. She felt a new respect for her team, their patience, their resilience, their ability to turn chaos into beauty. She also felt the weight of her secret, and the responsibility that came with it. Tomorrow, she'd do it all again. She was determined to keep learning, to keep listening, and to find new ways to honor the people who made Lyon Gallery extraordinary. And for the first time in years, Elizabeth Lyon felt the thrill of discovery, the sense that, even after decades in the art world, there was still so much more to learn. The gallery was humming with a quiet intensity that morning, the kind of energy that always seemed to gather before a major exhibition. Sunlight filtered through the tall windows, catching on the polished marble floors and the gilded frames of a new collection waiting to be unveiled. Elizabeth Lyon, still, Liz, to the staff, walked the length of the main hall. Her steps soft on the cool stone, her eyes sharper than ever. She'd been at Lyon Gallery for almost 2 weeks now, blending in as an assistant. And every day had peeled back another layer of the world she thought she knew. But today, the air felt different. There was a tension, a sense that something was about to break loose behind the velvet ropes. She started her shift with the usual routine, checking the climate controls, 68 degrees Fahrenheit, just as the conservator liked it, dusting the glass cases, and helping Marcus with the final placement of a striking abstract sculpture. Marcus, the head installer, was in rare form, grumbling about the last-minute change in layout. "They want the Calder in the West Gallery now," he muttered, his hands steady as he maneuvered the mobile. "No one ever asked the guys who actually move this stuff." Liz helped him steady the base, feeling the weight of the metal and the unspoken pride in his work. In the break room, Priya, the young curator, was hunched over her laptop, her brow furrowed. "The artist's agent just sent new instructions for the lighting," she sighed, scrolling through a long email. "And the press preview is in 2 hours. Liz offered to help, and together they adjusted the gallery's track lights, inch by inch, until the paintings glowed just right. Priya's eyes lit up when the effect was perfect. "You've got a good eye, Liz," she said. Her voice warmed despite the stress. "Not everyone cares about the details." As the morning wore on, Liz found herself drawn into the backstage ballet of the gallery, where art, logistics, and human drama collided. She watched Ben, the security guard, gently guide a curious child away from a priceless sculpture, his deep voice patient and kind. "Art is for looking, not touching," he explained, kneeling down so he was eye level with the boy. "But if you want to know the story behind it, just ask." The boy's face lit up, and Ben launched into a tale about the artist's travels in Morocco, weaving history and imagination together. Moments like these revealed the gallery's true heart. Liz saw how every member of the team brought a piece of themselves to the work: Marcus's precision, Priya's passion, and Ben's storytelling. Even the night janitor, Rosa, left little notes for the staff, reminders to water the orchids or a quote from Frida Kahlo taped to the coffee machine. But the job wasn't all inspiration and beauty. That afternoon, disaster struck. A delivery team accidentally scraped a newly restored painting against the doorframe, leaving a faint but visible mark on the canvas. Panic swept through the staff. Priya's hands shook as she called the conservator while Marcus paced in the hallway, muttering about insurance claims and deadlines. Liz watched, heart pounding. As the team rallied, Ben securing the area, Priya soothing the artist on the phone, and Marcus working with the conservator to assess the damage. In the chaos, Liz stepped in where she could, fetching supplies, relaying messages, and above all, listening. She saw the cracks in the gallery's polished facade, the stress that came with perfection, the fear of failure, the weight of reputation. But she also saw resilience. When the conservator arrived, a petite woman named Dr. Chen worked with calm authority, restoring the painting with steady hands and gentle words. The crisis passed, and the team breathed a collective sigh of relief. Later, as they prepared for the evening's preview, Liz found herself in the storage room with Marcus. He was carefully cataloging a series of small sculptures, his fingers moving with surprising delicacy. "You know," he said, not looking up, "most people think this job is just about moving things around. But it's more than that. Every piece has a story, and it's our job to protect it." Liz nodded, understanding more than she could say. The preview itself was a whirlwind. Collectors in tailored suits and evening gowns drifted through the galleries, champagne flutes in hand. Liz watched as Priya charmed a group of critics, her words painting pictures as vivid as the canvases on the walls. Ben kept a discreet eye on the crowd, his presence reassuring but unobtrusive. Marcus hovered in the background, ready to step in if a sculpture wobbled or a guest leaned too close. Amid the glamour, Liz noticed the small moments that made the evening work: Rosa quietly refilling water pitchers, a junior assistant straightening a crooked label, Priya slipping away to comfort a nervous artist before his big debut. It was teamwork, pure and simple, a web of care and attention that held the gallery together. As the night wound down, Liz lingered in the main hall, watching the last guests depart. Priya joined her, tired but glowing with pride. "We pulled it off," she said, her smile genuine. "No one will ever know how close we came to disaster." Liz smiled back, feeling a surge of affection for the team. Walking home under the city's neon lights, Liz reflected on what she'd seen. The gallery was more than a showcase for art. It was a living organism powered by people who cared deeply, who worked long hours for little recognition, who found meaning in the details. She thought of Marcus's steady hands, Priya's passion, Ben's kindness, and Rosa's quiet support. She realized that the true masterpiece wasn't on the walls but in the spirit of the people behind the scenes. That night, as she drifted off to sleep, Liz felt a new sense of purpose. She understood now that managing a gallery wasn't just about taste or business acumen. It was about trust, empathy, and the courage to face challenges together. Tomorrow, she would return, ready to support her team in ways she'd never imagined before. And for the first time in years, Elizabeth Lyon felt not just like a gallery owner but like a part of something extraordinary. The gallery was pulsing with anticipation that afternoon, the kind of energy that only came before a major unveiling. Rain tapped against the tall windows, blurring the city outside. Still, inside, the air was warm, nearly 72 degrees Fahrenheit, and thick with the scent of fresh paint, polished wood, and the faintest trace of lilies from a new arrangement at the entrance. Elizabeth Lyon, still, Liz, to the staff, moved quietly through the main hall, clipboard in hand, her nerves sharper than ever. The week had been a whirlwind of deadlines and drama. The gallery's next big show, a rare collection of post-war American masters, was set to open in less than 24 hours, and everything felt on the edge. Marcus was double-checking the security sensors, his brow furrowed as he recalibrated the motion detectors on a $2 million Rothko. Priya was in the office, fielding last-minute calls from critics and collectors, her voice calm but her foot tapping out a nervous rhythm under the desk. Even Ben, the usually unflappable security guard, was pacing the floor with a little more urgency than usual. But Liz's mind was elsewhere. She'd spent 2 weeks living as someone else, learning not just the rhythms of the gallery, but the hearts of the people who made it run. She'd seen Marcus's pride, Priya's passion, Ben's quiet wisdom, and Rose's gentle humor. She'd seen the cracks, too, the exhaustion, the stress, the moments when the pressure to be perfect threatened to overwhelm the team. She'd watched as the staff pulled together through disasters and deadlines, never losing sight of the art or each other. Now, as the final preparations for the opening swirled around her, Liz felt the weight of her secret pressing down. She'd come here to reconnect, to see her gallery with new eyes. But she hadn't expected to care so much, or to feel so much responsibility for the people who'd welcomed her as one of their own. The tension broke that evening just as the city lights flickered on outside. The gallery was nearly ready, paintings hung, spotlights set, the marble floors gleaming. Liz was helping Priya arrange a series of sculptures in the east wing when a sudden shout echoed through the space. "The main spotlight just blew!" Marcus called, his voice tight with panic. "We've got less than an hour before the preview tour." The team sprang into action. Ben dashed to the storage room for a replacement bulb while Marcus scrambled up a ladder, tools clattering at his belt. Priya called the lighting technician, her voice steady but strained. Liz found herself in the middle of the chaos, passing tools, holding the ladder, and offering encouragement where she could. She watched as Marcus and Ben worked together, their movements efficient and practiced, their words few but meaningful. It was a minor disaster, but it felt monumental. The pressure was on, the stakes high, and every second mattered. But as Liz watched her team rally, solving problems, supporting each other, never losing sight of the goal, she felt a surge of pride. This was what made the gallery special. Not the art on the walls, but the people behind the scenes. The spotlight was fixed just in time. The preview tour went off without a hitch, and the guests were dazzled by the collection and the seamless presentation. As the last visitor left, the team gathered in the break room, laughter and relief bubbling up as the tension finally released. Marcus clapped Ben on the back, Priya poured glasses of sparkling water, and Rosa passed around a plate of homemade cookies. It was then, in that moment of camaraderie, that Liz knew what she had to do. She cleared her throat, her voice cutting through the laughter. "Can I have everyone's attention for a minute?" The room quieted, all eyes turning to her. She took a deep breath, feeling her heart hammer in her chest. "There's something I need to tell you," she began, her voice trembling just a little. "My name isn't Liz. It's Elizabeth Lyon. I'm the owner of this gallery." The silence was absolute. Marcus's eyes widened, his jaw dropping. Priya's hand froze halfway to her mouth, her expression a mix of shock and disbelief. Ben just stared, his face unreadable. Rosa blinked, her lips parting in surprise. "For the past 2 weeks, I've been working alongside you, not as your boss, but as a member of your team. I wanted to see the gallery through your eyes, to understand what you go through every day. I wanted to listen, to learn, and to see what makes this place truly special. The reactions came in waves. Marcus shook his head, a slow smile spreading across his face. I can't believe it, he muttered. You carried ladders for me. Priya laughed, the tension melting from her shoulders. No wonder you knew so much about the Basquiat. Ben's eyes softened, a flicker of respect passing between them. But there was more. Liz looked at each of them, her voice growing stronger. I've seen your dedication. I've seen the late nights, the early mornings. The way you support each other when things go wrong. I've seen how much you care about this gallery, about the art, and about each other. And I want you to know, I appreciate it. I appreciate you. She paused, letting the words settle. But I've also seen the challenges. The long hours, the stress, and the moments when it feels like too much. I've seen how hard you work to make everything perfect and how little recognition you sometimes get. That's going to change. The team listened, their faces a mix of hope and skepticism. Liz continued, her voice steady. Starting tomorrow, we're making some changes. We're hiring more staff, so no one has to work double shifts. We're updating our equipment, improving our break room, and making sure everyone gets the support they need. And most importantly, I want your voices to be heard. We'll have regular meetings, and I'll be there to listen. Priya's eyes filled with tears. Thank you, she whispered. Marcus nodded, his usual gruffness softened by emotion. Ben smiled with a rare and genuine expression. Liz felt a wave of relief wash over her. The secret was out. The truth revealed, and the real work could finally begin. She looked around at her team, her family, and knew that together they could face whatever came next. That night, as she locked up the gallery, Liz paused in the main hall, the city's lights twinkling through the windows. She felt lighter than she had in years, her heart full of gratitude and hope. She knew there would be challenges ahead, but she also knew that, with her team by her side, anything was possible. Elizabeth Lyon had found her way back to the heart of her gallery, not through the art, but through the people who made it come alive. As she stepped out into the cool night air, she knew that this was only the beginning of a new chapter for herself and for everyone at Lyon Gallery. The Lyon Gallery was alive with a new kind of energy. The morning after Elizabeth Lyon's reveal, the city outside was a brisk 60 degrees Fahrenheit, but inside, the air was full of anticipation and, for the first time in years, genuine optimism. Sunlight poured through the gallery's tall windows, glinting off polished marble and gilded frames. Elizabeth, no longer Liz, but herself again, stood quietly in the main hall, watching her team gather for the first all-staff meeting since her secret had come out. She looked at each face, Marcus with his paint-stained hands, Priya clutching her ever-present notebook, Ben standing tall by the entrance, and Rosa, the night janitor, slipping in with a shy smile. There was a ripple of nervousness but also curiosity. The last 2 weeks had changed everyone, and they all knew it. Elizabeth cleared her throat, her voice steady but warm. I want to thank you all for welcoming me, not as your boss, but as a teammate. What I saw, what I learned, has changed me. And it's going to change this gallery. She paused, letting her words settle. This place was built on a love of art. But what makes it extraordinary isn't just the paintings or the sculptures, it's you. The care you show, the risks you take, and the way you support each other, even when things get tough. That's what makes Lyon Gallery special. Marcus shifted, and his usual gruffness softened. Never thought I'd see the day the boss was on her knees scrubbing floors with the rest of us. He joked, and laughter rippled through the room. But his eyes shone with pride. Elizabeth smiled. I learned a lot from you, Marcus. And from all of you. I saw how hard you work, the late nights, the early mornings. I saw the stress, the moments when you wondered if anyone noticed. I want you to know, I noticed. And I'm here to do something about it. She unveiled a series of changes. New lighting equipment and better tools for Marcus's team, a mentorship program for Priya and other young curators, and a wellness fund for staff emergencies. She announced more flexible scheduling, upgraded break rooms, and a commitment to regular team meetings where every voice would be heard. Priya's eyes filled with tears. Thank you, Elizabeth. I never thought I'd get a chance to curate my own show, but now I feel like my ideas matter. Ben, usually reserved, nodded. It's good to know we're more than just names on a schedule. Elizabeth's heart swelled. She realized that leadership wasn't just about making decisions from above, it was about lifting people up, about seeing them, really seeing them, and giving them the tools to shine. The changes rippled through the gallery. Marcus trained a new assistant, showing him how to hang a canvas with the precision of a surgeon. Priya led her first exhibition, her vision bold and fresh, drawing new crowds and critical praise. Ben gave impromptu art history tours to school groups, his stories bringing the paintings to life. Rosa decorated the break room with fresh flowers, her laughter echoing down the halls. Guests noticed the difference. Collectors lingered longer, drawn in by the warmth of the staff as much as the art. Artists felt respected, and their work was displayed with a care that honored their vision. Even the most demanding clients softened, charmed by the gallery's new spirit. One afternoon, a well-known critic approached Elizabeth after a show. There's something new here, he said. It's not just the collection. It's the people. You can feel the pride. Elizabeth nodded, her eyes shining. That's what art is about, isn't it? Not just what's on the walls, but what's in the hearts of the people who bring it to life. The team grew closer. They celebrated birthdays and exhibition openings together, shared meals in the newly renovated break room, and supported each other through challenges, big and small. When Marcus's mother fell ill, the staff covered his shifts without hesitation. When Priya's show won a significant award, the whole gallery cheered. Ben started an after-hours art club, inviting staff and their families to create and share their own work. Elizabeth made it a point to be present, not just as a boss, but as a mentor and a friend. She listened to concerns, celebrated successes, and never missed an opportunity to thank her team. She knew now that her role was not to be the face of the gallery, but its heart. As the months passed, the Lyon Gallery's reputation soared. Not just as a place to see great art, but also as a place where people matter. Where kindness, respect, and teamwork were as valued as talent and ambition. One evening, as the gallery closed after a sold-out opening, Elizabeth lingered in the main hall. The lights were low, the city beyond the windows glowing softly. She watched as her staff laughed and said goodnight, their faces tired but happy. She felt a deep sense of peace, a sense that she had finally found what she'd been searching for. She thought about the journey, the doubts, the mistakes, the moments of humility and revelation. She remembered the fear of being discovered, the awkwardness of her first days as Liz, and the pride she felt watching her team overcome every challenge. She realized that the most significant lesson wasn't about art or business, but about people. About the power of empathy, the importance of listening, and the courage it takes to trust and empower others. As she locked the doors, Elizabeth left a note on the staff bulletin board. Thank you for showing me what truly matters. Let's keep building something beautiful, together. The Lyon Gallery was no longer just a showcase for masterpieces. It was a home, a family. A beacon of what could happen when people were seen, valued, and inspired. And as Elizabeth stepped out into the cool night, she knew that this was only the beginning. Because, in the end, the true art of leadership, and of life, is not about being the one in the spotlight. It's about shining that light on others and watching them bloom. And that, she realized, was the greatest masterpiece of all.